In the late 1800s, deep in the forests of southern Nigeria, a terrifying belief led to the death of innocent children. Twins were seen as a curse. They were abandoned, rejected, and left to die. But one woman refused to accept this reality. Her name was Mary Slessor, and her courage would change history forever. Mary Slessor was born in 1848 in Dundee, Scotland. Her childhood was far from easy. She grew up in poverty, working long hours in a textile mill just to help her family survive. But despite the hardship, Mary had a deep and unshakable faith. She dreamed of something greater. Inspired by stories of missionaries in Africa, she felt a calling she could not ignore. So in 1876, she left everything behind and traveled to Calabar in present-day Nigeria. When Mary arrived, she entered a world very different from her own. The people were warm, the culture was rich, but there was one belief that deeply troubled her. In many communities, twins were feared. They were believed to be evil, a sign of bad luck, or even a curse upon the land. When a woman gave birth to twins, the babies were often taken away and left in the forest to die. Sometimes, the mother herself was cast out of the village. It was a practice rooted in fear, passed down through generations. Mary could have condemned the people and walked away, but she didn't. Instead, she chose a different path. She stayed. She lived among them, learned their language, and earned their trust. She listened, understood their fears, and slowly began to teach, not with force, but with compassion. Then, Mary took action. Whenever she heard that twins had been abandoned, she would go into the forests herself. No fear, no hesitation. She would search, find the babies, and carry them home. She fed them, cared for them, and raised them as her own. One by one, she saved lives, and something remarkable began to happen. The children she rescued did not die. They grew strong, they laughed, they played, they lived. The people began to see that twins were not cursed, they were simply children. Slowly, the fear began to fade. Mary's influence continued to grow. She moved deeper into regions like Okoyong, where these beliefs were strongest. There, she became more than a missionary. She became a protector, a teacher, and even a leader. In 1892, she was appointed a vice consul. With this authority, she helped settle disputes, advocated for justice, and stood against harmful traditions. Through her efforts and the support of local leaders and authorities, the killing of twins began to decline. Communities changed, laws were introduced, and a practice that had existed for generations was finally brought to an end. Mary Slessor spent nearly 40 years in Nigeria. She gave her life to protecting the vulnerable and bringing hope to the forgotten. In 1915, she passed away in Calabar, but her impact did not end there. Today, she is remembered as a hero, a woman who stood against injustice and chose love over fear. Because of Mary Slessor, countless lives were saved. Because of her courage, a generation was given a future, and her story reminds us that even in the darkest traditions, one person can bring light. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more